Welcome to Spam Filter for Your Brain, bite-sized ponderings on how our thoughts influence our behaviour and our lives, and because we're all connected, how our thoughts impact the world. I'm here to help people reconnect with their bodies and declutter their brains. And I don't believe that we should just magically know how our emotions and our thoughts impact our lives if no one ever teaches us. So let's learn this stuff together. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about comparison. Every so often on a coaching call, I find someone talking about how they have caught themselves comparing themselves to somebody else, and then they feel quite a lot of shame or embarrassment about it and tell themselves that they should know better than that and they shouldn't be doing it. And I wanted to provide a little bit of kindness and compassion and take a step back from that judgment and just look at some of the reasons why we might compare ourselves to other people, even if we know that it might not be in our best interest to do it at the time. This might not be so relevant for you. You might be someone who's like, I used to do that. I don't compare myself to other people anymore. But bear with me for a moment, stay with me for the few minutes of the podcast, because I bet there are places in your life where you do compare yourselves to other people just a little bit, even if it is just as simple as going, life would be easier if I had the amount of money that Beyonce has. That kind of level of comparison, rather than, I bet it would be easier if I was Doris in The Office. So I just wanted to sort of really all the way back to genetics and history, going quite far back here, people, to look at why we compare ourselves to other people. And one of the main, very clear reasons that we compare ourselves to other people is quite simply that for hundreds and thousands of years, our very survival depended on it. When we were roaming around out there in the wilds with a bunch of people who we might call our tribe, our family, our particular community that we were in at that time, noticing how we fitted in or didn't fit in to other people and where our place was in that structure gave us quite a lot of information about whether we were going to be accepted or rejected, and therefore whether we were going to eat, whether we were going to get water, whether we were going to be able to mate, whether we were quite literally going to be able to survive. And for the majority of human existence, this has been a really good safety mechanism for us to be able to work out whether our lives are going to be a viable option for us. And that's frankly mostly what our brain cares about. It just wants you to be alive. And so it's going to lean on the habits that it's learned most over the whole of history that has enabled us to keep on breathing and drinking water and eating and all of the stuff in between, getting warmth, feeling connection and community. And a lot of that has been determined by comparing ourselves to the people around us and working out what is safe, what is dangerous, what is acceptable, what is going to get us more of the things that we want, what might stand a chance of losing us, things that we don't want. So comparison's really, really natural. It's a really superhuman response, and it's also been really useful up until now. It just so happens that there are bits of our brain that might find the level of comparison that we have nowadays, I don't know, if you look like that person on Instagram, for example, are probably not that useful to our very survival. But our brain hasn't quite caught up with the modern technology that we're bombarding it with all the time. So rather than telling ourselves, we shouldn't be doing this, I should know better, this is silly, I'm not that person, this doesn't align with my politics, and yet we're still doing it when we find ourselves comparing ourselves to other people, is there any space here where you could go, oh, look, I am doing that. That's kind of normal. That's probably quite there's maybe some people who've spent a few $billion going into that algorithm to try and make me compare myself to that other person. Maybe so I'll buy things. Rather than shaming ourselves for the feelings that we're actually having, looking at the fact that we're doing this stuff and that's probably quite a natural reaction. Because from there we can then peel back a layer and go, okay, now that I've acknowledged that I am doing that, how do I want to treat myself? when I notice that I'm comparing myself to other people? What would offer me some kindness here? What is this comparing myself to other people alerting me to that I feel that I'm lacking, or I feel a little bit insecure about, or perhaps an area where I feel like I could do with a little bit more love, quite frankly. And also looking at this level of comparison and where we're comparing ourselves to other people, it's a really fertile ground for looking at what we imagine that person that we're comparing ourselves to has that we don't. And where is an opportunity for us to be able to create that for ourselves? So if I link it back to the Beyonce analogy right at the beginning, you might think, well, I want Beyonce's amount of money. Clearly, that would be brilliant. But actually, what do you think that level of money would give you? Would it give you a sense of happiness? Would it give you a sense of safety? Would it give you a sense of comfort? Would it give you a sense of ease? What is it that you think the money would give you that you're feeling that you're lacking right now? Because that's the thing that we can work on. So rather than going, okay, I'm going to put myself on the Forbes list, you can go, okay, actually, do you know what? It is a sense of security that I feel that I'm lacking, that this has alerted me to. Where is it in my life where I can see, are there any areas I can make myself feel more safe? Are there any areas of my life where I do feel safe that I can look to build upon? Are there any areas of my life that actually make me feel quite unsafe that I want to try and step away from or try and transform? It is the emotion that we're seeking behind the thing that we think other people have that we can spot in ourselves, that we can either try and move towards or we can try and move away from. This is the very methodology that I teach in self-care school. But just as an initial brainstorming session for yourself, noticing where these cravings come up for you can teach you a lot about yourself and your own personal drivers to see where you might feel personally like there are some areas of your life that could do with a little bit more kindness and a little bit more comfort. I hope that this has served to enable you to offer a little bit more gentleness if you find yourself comparing yourself to anybody else in reality or online. And I hope that if you would like to learn any of the stuff about how you can apply this stuff to your own life, or how you can uncover what you do next to give yourself some of the things that you've been seeking, that you'll come and join us over at Self-Care School. I hope this has been useful, and I look forward to speaking to you next week. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast here, I would love to invite you to Self-Care School. Self-Care School is a membership site where we have group coaching calls every week. We have a whole load of courses that you can dip into for whatever suits your needs. We have courses on confidence, body image, timekeeping, how to manage big emotions, overwhelm, loads and loads of stuff in there. You can kind of pick out whatever you want to work on. There is a big library of workbooks, which includes journal prompts and questions for you to be able to apply this work to your own life. And we have the most amazing community where people support each other, we learn from each other, and you get to work alongside people with quite often very different life situations to your own, and we learn so much together in community. If you would like some more of this, please do hop over to selfcareschool.co.uk.